Can you hear me? Can you hear me good? I want to make sure you hear me good. Make sure my mic sounding good because we getting it in today. We're having a little fun. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. We back up in this thing on the shoulders of giants. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Got a couple comments. Hey, man, YouTube tripping, man, already. A comment is missing. Somebody left a comment earlier. And it ain't up here no more. YouTube tripping already, man. Happy Saturday. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? What we got? Cotton. It says what for? So they can sell the resources for themselves. So I guess reacting to the title, because the title of this is white people should control black countries. That's the question, right? Because we're looking at a video or a conversation, a debate. Interview debate conversation between the guy Marquette Devon and two white guys, Forrest and Jackson. They call themselves Frojacks. And I saw this on the Marquette for Women YouTube channel. And the title of that video is Debate White Supremacist Nick Fuentes Fans 2 versus 1. So we're getting into that. That's going to be our main feature for today, because they're talking about colonization. But they're also, the white guys are also giving their thoughts and saying that they believe that white people should control black countries. Black people should not be in control of our own countries. Now, on one hand, they're saying that they are not white supremacists. But on the other hand, they're saying colonization was a good thing. And those white people going in these places, civilized the blacks and gave them something to work with. And black people shouldn't be controlling their own countries. We shouldn't be controlling our own fates. We shouldn't be controlling our own destinies. That's what these white guys are talking about, right? So these are things that we're getting into. I also have a video. I have 4 videos. I got another video. Pastor David James Manning is echoing the sentiments of the white guys. And our first video, though, we're going to open up. It don't have nothing to do with the topic, but I saw it and I was like, we got to talk about it. Because it's an incident at a school where a teacher used racist language to the students. And then I want you all to see how the parents react to it. I thought about Nemesis when I seen this. Renee, what's going on? Good afternoon to you, Renee. How you doing? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for being up in here. You know how we do it. Thank you, thank you, thank you to everybody. Make sure y'all please hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and share everything. We want to make sure as many people as possible get this information, get in here, have a little fun, learn a little something, because over here on the shoulders of giants, we do what we do, when we do what we do, how we do. So hey man, that's how we do it. Renee, I appreciate you as always. Want to give a big, hold on, let me get my shout outs. Let me get my phone so I can get my shout outs, because I got to give a big shout out to me, Kim Tate. I appreciate you as always. All the support that you give me, Kim, I appreciate it. So big shout out to me, Kim Tate. I got a new patron, so I got to give my new patron a shout out before we get into this information while people come on up in here. BJ Cobbs is a new patron, so I want to give a big shout out to BJ Cobbs. I got some new members to the channel because we're growing over here. We're growing some community over here. Let me see. Getting that good community growing over here. So come on in. We about to get into it. Don't go nowhere. I'm telling you wanna check out today's show because it's going down. I just want to give a shout out to everybody who became a member. A show about me. I want to give a big shout out to a show about me for becoming a member of this channel, for becoming a cousin, and also Counter Racism Now with Dr. Sink for becoming a brother and a sister member of this channel. So thank y'all. Hold on, where my round of applause to me, Kim, to all my new patrons, to all my new channel members. Thank you all. So let's get into this first thing, man. Let's go ahead and kick this thing off because we got time. Today. It's a good Saturday, so we got time. Let's kick this thing off. Put it like this. So As you can see, the caption says, teacher resigns. Let me make it big so you can see it. Teacher resigns after telling black students if it wasn't for the Constitution, they would still be her slaves. So in the year of our Lord 2025, a white teacher told her black students that if it wasn't for the Constitution, then they would still be her slaves. But I want you to pay attention to how the parents reacted to it overall, the overall reaction from the parents. So check this out.
We are investigating the resignation of a Winterville teacher after what the school calls a racially insensitive lesson and caught the attention of a lot of our viewers. Justin Lundy has been following this story and is live outside of Winterville Charter Academy with the latest. Justin.
Yes, I spoke with parents whose children tell them that a teacher here at Winterville Charter Academy used racial slurs inside an 8th grade classroom. And today, those parents are demanding immediate action and answers.
She had them raise their hand during a Constitution lesson and reminded them that if it wasn't for the Constitution, they would still be her slaves, her field slaves.
Kanisha Tillman and McKay Benjamin say their children were in an 8th grade classroom at Winterville Charter Academy. And late last month, that was the lesson on Constitution Day. Tillman says both the teacher and some white classmates then used the N-word.
And then call him a and then the teacher responded by saying when the black student tried to address it and asked her to address it, she said that, well, it's okay because we're all a little bit racist.
School leaders initially sent out a memo to parents of that classroom on September 24th. It said they investigated the incident and the teacher involved resigned. After outrage began to spread on social media that the teacher wasn't fired, Principal Anastasia Ryan sent out the following memo on October 5th to the whole school, reading in part, "As soon as we were made aware of each incident, we immediately took action. The result was a teacher resignation and the children involved being disciplined in accordance with our parent and student handbook. These situations concern us too. Our school culture is built on one of acceptance, love, and respect to serve all children and their families." Benjamin planned to remove her child from the school, but changed her mind this week. And why aren't you taking your kids out of the school?
Instead of us just removing our kids and letting them get away with it and not actually holding them accountable for what's going on, we should stay at the school and fight and get them to address the situation.
Winterville Charter Academy has not revealed the name of the teacher involved, but parents are demanding new policies to prevent situations like this from occurring again.
I would like for them to have training on cultural fluency, on implicit bias, on racism, and I would like the students to have training. Like, it doesn't make sense why we got a school-wide email about TikTok challenges in the soap dispensers, but we didn't get a school-wide email discouraging more racist remarks coming to the school.
A memo from the school stated that the teacher who resigned will actually receive culturally sensitive training. I'm not really sure how that's going to be worked out because I already reached out to school and they haven't said anything about that. But future and current teachers will also go through that training as well. In Pitt County, Justin Lundy, WITN News.
Y'all tell me what y'all think about the response from the parents, because I think it's chicken shit. Me personally, I think their response is chicken shit. Culturally sensitive training. Snatch your kids out them damn schools and put them and be responsible for your own kids' education. Create an environment. You and the other parents, y'all get together and create an environment where your kids can learn, or put your kids in another environment, right? But we can't keep complaining about how people are treating us in their systems, and then we want to change their systems with some chicken shit responses. Like, we got to be better. We got to put our adult pants on, and it's our responsibility to be educating our children. It's our responsibility to put our children in the proper environments for them to learn. It's our job to make sure that the children are safe in these environments. They can actually flourish and learn in these environments. And if you continuously putting them in environments that don't nurture that, then you are also as much of the problem as the racist. That white lady told them students that if it wasn't for the Constitution, that they would still be her slaves. And the response, the overall response from the parents is, I want culturally sensitive training. All right. Just tell them you ain't serious. Just tell them you scared and tell them you serious, and everything will be good. I'm saying, Cheryl, right on point. How you doing? Thank you for joining us, Cheryl. Straight up, community created education. We can do it. We can do it. Look, I just taught a Black history class this morning. Shout out to my Black history school too. We are we're creating our own Black superheroes. So I'm teaching them African mythology through creating our own Black superheroes, using the attributes of the various gods of the various African pantheons. We can teach our own kids. All you need is a space and some lights and some information. I'm just saying, but that backlash is straight chicken shit. If you scared, just say you scared. Just say it. I'm talking about snatch my kids straight up out of there and stiff armed anybody in my damn way. What the hell is going on between the sheets and these people homes, right? Like, come on, it's really, that's the best we got. Well, we need, so we want to institute something that we already know don't work. Melissa, how you doing? Greetings. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. Say, I have just subscribed to your channel. Thank you, Dion White. I appreciate you for subscribing. I'm telling you, it's gonna be worth it. I'm dropping all type of information for you. 2A for you, us. What's going on? Hey man, look, we keep complaining about white supremacists, but we're allowing white supremacists to teach our kids, and then wondering why they coming out underperforming and not overall, and the overall scale, why Black children are not performing well in these environments. We can create our own educational environments. We do it all the time. Pat, look, my co-host Pat has been a part of a educational co-op for the longest, the Footprint School. I interviewed Miss Kristen on here. I interviewed Q Butter. It's others. We can do it ourselves. Toxically childish. That get a star. You get a star. That you Cheryl, you get the first star today. That's what I'm talking about. Toxically childish. We need to grow the hell up, fam. Unless you're going to homeschool or send them to a majority Black school, you're going to deal with that. I dealt with that back in the day, but my parents weren't happy. But that's what I'm saying. But we don't. I did, and I agree. But we don't have to deal with it. And that's my argument: is we don't have to deal with the racism, because we can choose to teach our own kids, but that's a choice. That's a choice. These people, nope, they can't. They will not. They don't. And because if they're in control, who's gonna rehabilitate them? Who's gonna rehabilitate the people that's in control? It says we are comfortable and out. Yep. I'm talking about we got Tempur-Pedic mattresses on Egyptian cotton sheets and just chilling in our own dysfunction. Hey man. Well, you know, that's why the us's and we's over here, we work every day to be better and do better. I believe religion plays a big part and makes us very Melissa. Comment is on. I'm gonna say it like I'm from New Orleans. Your comment is on pernt. Your comment is straight on pernt. You heard me? Because that's transitioning to this next video, right? Because I told you the overall conversation, and you can see the title is white people should control Black countries, right? Well, it's not gonna be our next video, but our second to next video, right? The next video after this one coming up, right? But what I'm saying is the overall thing is white people should control Black countries, and there's a bishop, Pastor David James Manning, who is on his pulpit spreading lies, basically saying that African people can't build anything, but he's a pastor. So you know what I'm saying? It's on pernt. I'm telling you, straight on pernt. So let's get into this first video, right? This first video that goes with the overall topic. So I put this first video on my Instagram and my TikTok and stuff and my Facebook. And I'm on the Shoulders One, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Well, TikTok, the Joseph Ward, Facebook, On the Shoulders with Giants or Joseph Ward, Instagram, On the Shoulders One or The Real Joseph Ward. That's why I am on social media. But I put this video out because it went with what we're talking about today. So check out the lies that this white boy is telling, because we are debunking lies left and right today. We debunking all that bull left and right. True Pilgrim, what's going on? Says, I don't think that it has anything to do with religion. If you notice, not a man was inciting that video. Women and men handle things differently. Yep. Well, I do think religion plays a part in the conditioning of the docile nature within us. But you do have a point, because there wasn't a man in sight. But how does the modern day church play its role in keeping the black man and the black woman separate? Because churches are filled with women, but not a lot of men. So, it plays a part. It's not the whole thing, but I think it does play a part. Now, how much, we can argue how much of that it plays. So, anything that they control, they destroy, right? Because that's what they do. That's in their nature. Check their history. Far too many of our families have been absent of decent. I'm telling you, look, that's why I love my job, man. Oh, I love my job, because I get to help to keep the black family together. I get to actually play a hand in making sure black families are together. I love what I do, man. Yeah. Remember to repost and share. Please repost and share. Please hit that hype button too. YouTube be tripping. There you go. Eric Prince said the West should re-enslave Africa. Yep. So, they look at everything through the lens of a colonist. They look at everything through a lens of a white supremacist. Most of us look at everything through a lens of white people, white supremacists. Frantz Fanon told us that, right? Carter G. Woodson is telling us that one. In our reading of, Neela Fuller told us that, but, put these two books up here, just let y'all know we ain't playing around here, right? We're doing real studying around here. We ain't playing. We don't just be pulling stuff out our butt around here. We be studying. You know what I'm talking about? But yeah, it says, until we develop some kind of sovereignty, we will never be able to. You're right. Hey, Ron, I'm with you. I do not disagree. But it's not even a but, because disregards that. I do not disagree. However, we have to work to put ourselves in a position of power. But I'm with you though. I'm with you, Aaron. I'm with you. If you from Texas, your name Aaron, but I'm with you. Dion, what's going on? Jesse Lee Peterson on his JLP live broadcast stream talks about what you were talking about. Yeah. And Jesse Lee Peterson can go to hell. But yep. It says book club for, I'm just saying, hey, Mondays. That's what I'm saying. Look, that's a good idea, because we already doing book readings on Mondays, so we can go ahead and create that into a book club. Hey, Melissa, email me ontheshoulders1@gmail.com. We need to talk about it, because we already reading books, so we might as well go ahead and do a book club. I'm just saying, let's do it. On the shoulders one, the number one, on the shoulders 1@gmail. I'm gonna put it in the comments. I'm just saying, book club, let's make it happen. Sovereignty comes after, later, safety and defense. Yep. You already know it. Let's do it. Let's do it. I'm looking forward to it. Let's do it. So, man, let's go ahead and get to this first video. Start debunking these lies, these white supremacists, because we get to learn on over here. Please hit that like button. Comment, subscribe, share. And when you come in, say hey. When you come in here, say hey. You could drop your state, where you from, all that. Just, throw a black power fist up, all that. Amina in the building. Hey, y'all. Amina is in the building. All right. It's time to get this show kicked off, because Amina here. So let's do what we do, how we do it.
America's so poor. How could a place that holds trillions of dollars in rare minerals, gems, and other resources be so incredibly impoverished? And for many, the answer is simple enough. Africa is poor because of the legacy of colonialism. The narrative usually goes something like this. Europe's great powers invaded, conquered, and pillaged Africa of its raw resources, leaving the continent impoverished to this very day. Now, more than 60 years after the end of colonial rule, the continent is still struggling to overcome decades of exploitation at the hands of the European powers. It's a compelling narrative, and many people believe it. But the problem is, it doesn't seem to be telling the whole story, and here's the proof. Consider the story of another ex-colony that gained its independence around the same time as most African nations. Singapore.
Now, listen to this bullshit that he about to get into, right? Because he's trying to refute the fact that colonization destabilized Africa, even though we know it did. But if you in the Midwest of me to say I'm in Florida. Look, we on the brink of being cold. It's Florida cold right now. It's Florida cold. So, I feel sorry for y'all. But listen to this. So he's about to compare a continent that was colonized for over 400 years to a country that was colonized for a few, maybe a decade, maybe a few decades, and left alone. So remember that a whole continent that was colonized for over 400 years is being compared to a country that was colonized for maybe a few decades and left alone, because Africa is still to this day being colonized and graped of its resources. Says that's where he's wrong. Colonials, exactly. It hasn't ended in Africa. It hasn't. Right. Hey man, look man, that's why I love my audience. We smart over here. But let's continue listening to the lies. Hold on. Let me let him say it.
You lying. You ain't never met Dr. Martin Luther King.
Oh, that line.
Former British colony with virtually no natural resources has risen to become one of the wealthiest nations in the world. Today, Singapore is actually richer on a per capita basis than its former colonizer. So if colonialism doesn't tell the entire story there, is there anything else that can explain why Africa specifically is so poor? Well, one interesting factor is Africa's geography. The economist Thomas Sowell points out that
and when white people mention Thomas Sowell, you know it's about to be some bullshit, but he about to blame it on geography and not white supremacy. White people be wilding, man. White supremacists be wild.
Geography has hindered the continent's development for centuries and continues to do so to this very day. For example, while Europe's long coastline and plentiful natural harbors helped to facilitate a strong maritime trade all the way back to classical antiquity, Africa has had.
But you got to remember when True Pilgrim, you got to remember when the white folk first pulled up in Africa. When they first pulled up in Africa and started colonizing.
Few of these features. In fact, the continent actually has less coastline than Europe, despite the fact that it's much bigger. It has very few deep water ports, and with the exception of the Nile, none of Africa's major rivers are easily navigable all the way to the ocean. These geographical problems create huge challenges to trade in Africa, but geography is not destiny. Just look at Botswana. This sub-Saharan country has set records for economic growth despite being landlocked in the middle of the Kalahari Desert. While Botswana does have plenty of diamonds, it lacks many of the other major natural resources, rivers, or harbors that many of its neighbors do. And yet, Botswana is one of the richest nations in Africa with a strong and growing economy. The story of both Botswana and Singapore show that the true culprits behind Africa's persistent poverty has to be something else. Now consider this. In the Tanzanian Constitution in 1965, it discussed the government's role to, quote, prevent the accumulation of wealth to an extent which is inconsistent with the existence of a classless society. This Marxist sentiment was not unusual in sub-Saharan African governments post-colonialism. The bottom line is, many former colonies have not only overcome prior subjugation, but have thrived both politically and economically. But they all seem to have something in common. Instead of trading colonialism for Marx, they adopted systems which encouraged private property rights while at the same time embracing stable governments which established dependable legal systems and then courted foreign investment. The good news is there is hope for countries still struggling to develop, but history suggests that it will come not only through political freedom, but economic freedom as well.
So it's some bullshit. True Pilgrim's comment is right on point. The pillaging of Africa never stopped. The European nations are still in control. Arabs came in, gained control. Even Asians came in, gained control over resources and things. What is he talking about? This is the blatant racism, the blatant lying that be happening right in front of our faces. Like we don't have information, like we don't read books. And they really think we don't read. They think we can't read. I know a lot of Negroes be out here acting foolish and stuff, but we all don't behave like that, right? So it's a lot of us out here who got good minds, who can think and who can read and process information and understand what the hell is going on and what somebody is telling us, and be able to say that is some bullshit. That's some bullshit. What my man told him. What my man told him.
You lying. You ain't never met Dr. Martin Luther King.
Your ass is lying, Mr. White Man. You lying. Right? We know the main reasons why the continent is in disarray right now. It's the presence of colonization. We read Destruction of Black Civilization. So now we're talking like a 6,000 year period that Chancellor Williams covered. We read that. I'm just saying. It was a big bank take little bank. Yep. Well, see, if you look at the world through a white supremacist lens, O'Neal, my dear brother O'Neal, if you look at the world through a white supremacist lens, then you will believe that Africa wasn't civilized. If you can't read and process information, if you can't find the correct information, read and process information, you will believe that Africa wasn't civilized. But that's why we read what we read over here. Check out my Monday book reviews. Y'all got to check out my Monday book reviews. That's why we read what we read, how we read, and I let you all choose the books. But that's the idea out there that there was no greatness in Africa. Nothing happened in Africa. And all of the turmoil that's happening in Africa is because of them. And this dude is blaming it on the geography and the lack of, I guess, innovation from the Africans. Just disregarding all of the history that came before the Europeans. All of the greatness that existed before then. Forget it. Timbuktu didn't exist. Gal didn't exist. Tarseti didn't exist. Kush didn't exist. None of these great kingdoms, the kingdom of Zimbabwe didn't exist. None of these great civilizations and great kingdoms existed. It was all a mystery. Mansa Musa wasn't real. Samori Toure wasn't real. Sundiata Keita wasn't real. Ghana, Mali, and Songhai, that didn't exist. Come on, man. Stop it. That's weak, because we can read and process information over here. I'm a truck driver, and I'd appreciate an opportunity to speak with you. Email me. Where is that? Where I put it at? Email me. ontheshoulders1@gmail.com. Holla at me. Says we can't romanticize the place, fam. Some of it was civilized. No, I'm not saying all of it was one thing, but what we're not gonna do is act like there was no civilization. What we're not gonna do is act like we didn't build anything that was not revered by the world. We didn't have the top educational centers in the world. We didn't have like top civilization before they were ramshacked by the outsiders. I'm not saying all of Africa wasn't like that. What I am saying is we had grand civilizations before the white folks showed up. That's what I am saying. Peace, King. Hey, man, hit me up. Email me. People do be hating themselves, but that's what, when we see the world through a European lens, that's what happened, right? Anywhere will regress if it's under continued war, strife, and competing interests. I'm just saying. It will continue. It will continue to regress. What will nurture it to grow, especially under the thumb of an oppressor? How will it grow? It's toxic soil. Nothing grows in toxic soil. Comment gets a star. Anything under the rule of white supremacy that doesn't benefit the system of white supremacy and the white supremacy is siphoning from will regress. Guess you don't conduct panel discussions. Not yet. Not yet. But you know, one day, but not yet. Lying lies at the core white supremacists. The destruction of black civilization gave me an excellent understanding of Africans that I never knew and they'd never tell. I'm just saying. But it also gave us a perspective of ourselves as well, Ricardo, of things that we should have learned from reading that book. Because I think Kobe Cambone, the video that I put out of Kobe Cambone, I believe it was him saying that we missed a lot of, I'm not saying you did, but it reminded me of what he said. Like, a lot of us missed the lessons in destruction of black civilization because we were caught up in, like, I'm so glad we learned this history, but he gave solutions at the end. But what were the lessons that you learned from the book? And one of the greatest lessons that I got from it is when black people went away from our African code of conduct, when we turned our backs on what we did as African people, that allowed the others to be able to come in and take it down. PH Diva, how you doing? It's going down. You know, it's going down. So you think you are an African? Come on. Hey man, look, brother. Hey, agree to disagree. Agree to disagree. Hey, agree to disagree. I'm not getting into that. Call yourself what you want. I don't get into all that. We know history. I know where I'm from and I know history. I don't get into all that. I know I'm a black person from America. I know that, but I know history as well. I know enough black folk was brought here. So I don't get into all that. So Africa was civilized, but it wasn't. But I will say though, Africa have a lot of culture and there was no right. Yeah, that was one of the biggest issues. And I talk about it all the time. The tribalism that was played upon, the Europeans played upon tribalism. You were correct, O'Neal. You were correct. So let's listen to this pastor buck dancing for the white people.
Here, and I'm not going to be much longer with y'all. I understand we need to move beyond color. I'm not about that, but y'all raised it. If you start it, I'll end it for you. Don't start nothing, it won't be nothing. But we got a problem. Black people got a problem. Now we can move to color blindness and always look at the man by the content of his character, never the color of his skin. I'm down for that. You get my vote. Yay and amen. I'm for that. But before we get there, we need to hear some truth. Black people and white folk. Black people got a problem. And it's a God problem. When black people see the world, I don't care. You can train them. You can train a black man to be a physician. You can train him to be an astrophysicist. You can train him to be a lawyer, but you can't train him to understand the world. He doesn't know. I'm telling you. There's not 2 cents worth of difference between a mass murderer. There's not 2 cents of difference between a petty thief that's locked away in prison than a black doctor when it comes to understanding the world. Listen, you listen to me. We got to deal with this. And we need to begin to acknowledge it, talk about it, ask God to help us, because only God can help black people where they are. Black people had Africa, that big old continent over there. They never built one boat that was seaworthy. Not one. There's not one monument in Africa, in all of Africa. I know you're talking about Egypt. Egypt is not Africa. There are no great cities that were built. Even before the first colonization of white people coming to the shores of Africa or the slave ships, black men built nothing. No sewer system, no houses above one level, and none of them made out of stone. All of them made out of grass and wood. Black men, before the white man ever got to Africa, the worst thing that could ever happen to South Africa was when they gave it to Nelson Mandela and black folk. That was a great nation. Now, notwithstanding apartheid was wrong, we all know it's wrong. I'm against it. There should have been some other resolution, though, than turning it over to Nelson Mandela. Disease, AIDS, and crime is running wild in Johannesburg. They're killing one another over there. They're dying of sickness. The government is mismanaged. The people who ran the nation are now leaving the nation because black folk don't know how to run no nation. They don't know how, and we need to admit it. I know you don't like it, but you need to stop shucking and jiving. We got a problem. Nigeria.
It's funny he say shucking and jiving, but notice everybody's judging the state of Africa after colonization. He is, the white guy did, and these coming up are going to do that. They're looking at Africa after colonization. And then because the dismissal is Africa didn't build anything before the white people got there. That's the dismissal, even though we know like there's definitive evidence, like still in Africa, like actual physical evidence of civilizations that existed before the white people got there, right? But according to this pastor, nothing happened. Seeing the world through white eyes, right? Buck dancing for the white dollar. I'm just saying, black people have rich culture but poor unification on a large population basis, right? Like, but I think once again, black people, anybody throughout the diaspora needs to understand that as a whole, and you tell me if you found the information, because I haven't found the information, but I've yet to find information to prove that African people were united as a continent at any one point. I don't know. I haven't found that information. Different groups of people existed throughout the continent. Different groups of people had alliances and stuff, but I never found any information to say the continent as a whole, like all African people at one point saw themselves as the same. I haven't found that, so I agree with that, O'Neal. But you know, the rhetoric that this reverend is speaking, once again, he's looked at as a respected figure, because we're gonna look at some of these comments too. He's looked at as a respected figure. He's someone that people is listening to, an authority figure, and he's preaching damnation on black people, right? Because we're not capable of building anything and running anything because we never have and we never will. You know, according to him, the Ghana Empire never existed. You know, the Great Zimbabwe never existed. No, we don't even have to talk about Egypt. We don't even really have to get into Egypt, but you know, they always dismiss Egypt, even though we have enough information to know that Egypt, especially the greatness of Egypt, everything great about Egypt come from the black people that come from up the Nile or down the Nile, from the interior, the black people that came from the South. Oh yeah, he awful. He can go to hell in the handbasket. He said he got some valid points, and white supremacists see a Johnny Cochran as a couple steps from a Jack boy, and there was no African unification on the. Yeah. I mean, I'm not dismissing everything, but what I am saying is to talk about African people. Basically, he said a black doctor at the top of his field has the same worldview as a criminal. What? He'd never say that about white people. Like the lowest white person, I bet you he feel has a better, well, he's saying they got a better worldview than even the brightest black person. Like we know we got some throwaways, some black folk who not gonna make it, but everybody has that. But of course, everybody like to make that the main point about black folk, though. But to act like we didn't build anything, to act like black people had nothing, everything was just straw and grass, really? Come on, man. We got enough information to prove it wrong. We read Destruction of Black Civilization. We read the book. The book gave a rundown of black civilizations. I'm just saying, but all right, Reverend.
Produces oil every year, yet the children over there are hungry and pot-bellied and walking barefoot. We got a problem. You talk about the Hutus and the Tutsis. Look what's going on in Zimbabwe now with Mugabe. We got a problem, black folk. And forget about Zimbabwe and South Africa, Nigeria. Look at what y'all have done in Harlem. You can't even hold on to Harlem. We got a problem. Black folk don't understand the world. You can get mad with me all you want. You can say what you, but you can't prove me wrong. Now, I'm not saying this because I hate black folk.
Yes, you
I'm
are.
saying it because I love you enough to tell the truth. And the only person going to ever help us get out of the situation is going to be God. There's something wrong with the black man's mind. There's something wrong with his mind.
Well, I mean, I don't disagree that there's something wrong with the black man's mind, but what is wrong with the black man's mind? What happened to the black man's mind, Reverend? Because, well, I guess black people just woke up one day and said, you know what? We're going to be degenerates. That didn't happen. Man, Renee, this man on that blow. This man on that heroin. This man on that toot. This man on battery acid. Shucking and jiving for the white man. That's what he doing. Shucking and jiving. This is what real coonery looks like. Why is he not? But not only that, he's overlooking everything that black people built that was destroyed by white people. And I guarantee you, he knows the information. He's deliberately omitting this information because that's what the white supremacists do. They deliberately omit the information and act like it doesn't exist, like we stupid. Come on, Reverend. Get off your knees for the white man, Reverend. You should be old enough to know by now that they're going to throw you away like everybody else. But hey.
He does not understand the world.
Damn,
he doesn't. I don't care if he learned medicine. He doesn't understand the world. He can't even hold on to Harlem. When he was here, he moved out. We got to talk to the Lord. People, we got to talk to God. And black women, Shirley Chisholm, Harriet Tubman, Coretta King, one of her boys. Yeah, okay, then we got a black president. But you black women, what's wrong with y'all? Y'all gonna let that white woman, what's wrong with you black women voting for Barack? Don't you understand? It should have been a black womb if you're gonna have a black president. What's wrong with you? Y'all ain't got no sense, you black women. Your men treat you like the dogs, like your dogs. They walk all over you. They make you pay the bills at home, and then the preachers pimp you in the churches and make you pay the bills. Y'all crazy black women buying these black men private jets.
Talk about pimping people in the churches. You're doing the same thing, though. You're doing the same thing. You brainwashing your congregation, but okay. He's not lying about the churches, but he's doing the same thing.
Doing a $50 million for a nigga to ride around in a private jet, and you talk about, look at our pastor. What's wrong with y'all women? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? And what's wrong with a black man that would take that kind of money out of a poor neighborhood and buy himself a private jet? What's wrong with y'all niggas? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you, black women? What's wrong with you voting for Barack Obama? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with y'all? You niggas are crazy.
So are you. So are you, Reverend Shinebone. Uptight, that's his name, Reverend Shinebone. So I wanted to give you that. I wanted to give you that because, you know, we're transitioning into our, hold on, I got to show y'all some of these comments. See if I can, let me get to the big. Look at some of these comments that these people got. says a friend of mine pointed out that when the tsunami hit Asia, Indonesians and Japanese worked together to rebuild and come together. After Katrina, the Superdome turned into a massive crime scene with rapes, executions, beatings, robberies, and theft. I don't know. He might have had a point, but what's the why behind it? Like, why we keep acting like we don't understand the why? How are black people supposed to behave in mass under a system of oppression and white supremacy when you are constantly under the scrutiny, under the pressure, under the thumb, at war? We are at war. We've been programmed, we've been traumatized, we've been in all these different things. We're supposed to have degenerate behavior. It's amazing that all of us aren't like that. But you're not going to take away our dignity. You're not going to take away our humanity. You're not going to dehumanize us to a level to talk about we have the same world outlook as a murderer. Your mother has the same outlook as a whore, Reverend. How about that? As a $2 whore on the corner by the McDonald's. How about that? He not taking anything into account with his own. He's not, because he a bitch. And he tap dancing for the white man. How you doing, Christine? Greetings. Come on in. Reverend Shine Bone. And he disgraced his stank mama too. He disgraced his stank mother too. Right? Some more of these comments. Look at what these people are saying. Man, that takes bravery to say what he said. I have complete admiration for him. You a complete fool. Coming from a place of love and righteous indignation, Father continues to bless, anoint, and protect your son. Wow. What God are you serving? I used to hate this brother for such harsh words back then, but now I'm grateful for someone like him. What is he saying? What is he doing? Most non-white people don't realize that they are at war. They don't. He's confused about everything. That's why he up there saying what he's saying. And he thinks he's right. He thinks he's doing something. Some of us behave poorly, but it's not the majority. You're right. It's not the majority of us. But that shows a testament to our humanity. That shows a testament to who we are as a people. We're supposed to be way more messed up than what we are. We're supposed to be way more messed up. Our behavior is supposed to be way more degenerate than what it is. Pan-Africanism is the greatest movement ever invented for the unification of black people, but it actually has to work. It's a great idea, but it actually has to work on a large scale. And as of now, it hasn't necessarily yielded any tangible results, but we're working towards that though. So please hit that like button, comment, subscribe, share. We're getting it in over here. So let's go ahead and get to the main feature. Marquette Devon debating Jackson and Forrest, and they talking about black people shouldn't be controlling our own countries, our own fates, our own destiny. We shouldn't have our own sovereignty because the colonizers do it better. So says Reverend one step away from taking that Jim Jones. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, it's because we on this channel, we chastise our people, but we also come back with an explanation of the why. We call out the bad behavior, but we also understand the why behind the behavior, and we talk about the why. We teach the why. Hence, going back to my readings on Mondays, our Friday breakdowns, the Tuesday lectures, these videos, the Tuesday lives, all the videos I put out, it's giving information on why we are how we are. But that don't mean we don't work to get better. But also, it doesn't mean that black people are what that reverend said we are. Right? He can go to hell. That's how he is. That's how his mother is. Yeah, we got degenerates. Everybody has degenerates. You never hear black people, you never hear these Negroes waving their fingers at the degenerates of other groups of people. Why not? Everybody feel like they can wag their finger at black people. You want to know why? Everybody feel like they can wag their finger at black people because we are soft. We are soft, we are soft, we are soft, we are soft, and we continue to let people kick us around. What the hell are we gonna do about it? I'm just saying. DSB225 is a member of this channel. Shalom, my warrior brother, to you. How you doing? Thank you. Welcome. And you right on time, because we need some masculinity in here. We need to learn how to fight back. Black people, we keep getting pushed around. We keep getting pushed around. We keep getting stepped on. We keep getting disrespected because we allow it. Reverend Shinebone should have been canceled a long time ago. But black people are going to continue to support the disrespect. Why? Because we have been beaten into submission. Not all of us, but too many of us. So what are we going to do about it? I'm just saying we got to do something different. Got to do something different. But let's go ahead and get into this debate. It's a lot of stuff in this debate. So yeah, please hit that like button, comment, subscribe, share. Thank you to everybody that's up in here. It says money talks, and you know what, Walt? That bullshit. Shalom. Yes, sir. I love the love. I love the love. Everybody, let's connect up in here. I love it. Pan-Africanism doesn't prevent you from being. It doesn't. And I don't agree with all that diaspora war stuff. It doesn't. Pan-Africanism is the culmination of the different groups of black people around the globe getting their stuff together as individuals and then coming together as a whole and working together. Pan-Africanism is one of the ultimate goals we should be working toward. We do not support diaspora war stuff over here. Nope, we don't. I know I'm a black American. I know that. I know the history of how a lot of us got here. I know that. And I know some of us was already here. I know that. And I know some of us immigrated here. I know that. But we all still are a part of the diaspora, and we have to learn to work together, because the tribalism is deep. Says Enrique, says we have been conditioned to be soft. Yep. When you do your research about butt breaking in the past, you will understand why the black people are in this set. Yep. And it's not even just the butt breaking in America, the things that the psychological jobs that they did on us, even on the continent. But yes, we were conditioned to be soft. You are right. And that's why we have to work. We have to understand what happened to us and give ourselves a new programming. We have to reprogram ourselves. We have to redefine ourselves for ourselves. We have to self-actualize within an African-centered framework or a Black American framework, whatever you want to call it. But we have to redefine ourselves for ourselves within our own frameworks that we created for ourselves. Yes. So let's get into this, man. Let's get into it.
Jackson would have a wand and allow an unhappy black person in America to go where they feel comfortable. What would he allow the whites in Southern Africa to do? And what would he allow the blacks in Southern Africa to do? Okay, very good. Do you get that question, or do I need to reread that one? Or
yeah, no, it kind of cut out there for a second. That's a good question, because colonization.
Hold on, it's ignorance that. Oh, what? I don't agree. I don't disagree. Talking about the tribalism in the beginning, but I don't disagree. We do got it. We crazy as hell. We are insane.
Sort of stirs the pot and makes it a little bit more complicated. I mean, do you want to get into the topic of colonization?
Not yet.
A little bit.
We'll just say narrowly.
Okay.
The whites in South Africa and the blacks in South Africa.
Trade them out. I would say that the white people would be allowed to maintain control over the society, because I think that they built a better society compared to the native South African blacks, sub-Saharans that were there previously. And I think that that would be to the benefit not just of the colonists, but of the other Black people that also inhabit the country. I think it would be for the betterment of everybody. It's a bit of a controversial take, but that's my opinion.
It's not controversial if you're a white supremacist. So we got one here, folks. We got one here.
We can use words, but it's like, it's what it is, you know.
No, I'm saying we got one. You're a white supremacist.
What does that mean?
A white supremacist would probably be better defined by a white supremacist. I think they'd probably be mad, like a black guy defining what we are. But I would say simply, a white supremacist is one who believes in the superiority of the white man.
Well, so
because this is a very simple thing.
Superior civilization, that means supreme.
No, it's really the fact that you're in a place called Africa, which is undoubtedly the land of the blacks. And in as much as that's the case, the most reasonable, obvious thing to do would probably be to just tell the whites to go back to a white country. So leave the blacks in the black country, put the whites back in the white country, and let everyone proceed.
And let me give some context. This is a whole 2-hour debate. So earlier in the debate, Marquette asked the white guys if they had a wand to create the world how they want to, what would they do? And the white guys said that they would leave everybody to themselves to do what they do by themselves. And now they're coming back saying that they believe white people should control the black countries because black people don't do it good enough and white people do it better. And they're saying that from their lens through a white supremacist lens. Pan-Africanism is just a word. Unification is an action. We could call yourselves Leroy and it wouldn't matter if true. It's the ultimate goal. But we got to get ourselves right first. Now, I'm with you. I agree. I don't disagree. I'm with you. Keep us on point. But just didn't want to get that context about this video. In the beginning, he said if he could wave a magical wand, he would leave people to themselves to just be. And now he's coming back saying that he believed that white people should be in control of the blacks because, they do it better. Marquette is not gonna escape some of these shots up in here. Marquette is not gonna escape some of these shots. I'm just saying. Kristen, we own it. Says, okay, I appreciate you driving. I appreciate you listening in while you driving, Cheryl. So be safe out there on that road. Please be safe out there on that road. Also, the fact that white supremacists had destroyed every community we created by killing us and destroying what we've built. I believe we got worn out with the constant attacks. Yeah, I mean that goes into it. That goes into the program. That's part of the program. Everything we build, they do destroy. That's why that's another lesson that we need to learn. If we build it, we must protect it. If we build it, we must protect it. And we are also behind enemy lines.
But if you're a white supremacist, then you say, well, if you leave it to the blacks, they're going to mess it up. And really, it wouldn't matter if they did mess it up because they're messing it up for themselves, right? So it really shouldn't matter. But if you say leave the whites there to rule over them, then I would say that's a white supremacist position. And currently, being that we're not in a debate, I say
we can call
fantastic.
We can call it white supremacy, but I also included in my answer the betterment of everybody. I mean, it's objectively true that the black people had a higher quality of life in the countries where the colonists came into. So we can call
that's not objectively true.
Okay, and we can call it racial superiority.
No, that would not be objectively true. For example, you said blacks had a better quality of life in the places where the whites went in and colonized. Is that correct?
Overall, I would say overwhelmingly, yeah.
Overwhelmingly, okay. And how do you calculate overwhelmingly?
Well, we can talk about Zimbabwe, for example.
How about we talk about Congo?
I don't know a lot about
that. Zimbabwe, Congo, whatever, but show us the evidence of these places before colonization. Show us the evidence of the conditions of these places before colonization, and then show us the evidence of the conditions of these places after colonization. Because you're comparing areas after colonization. So the white folk came in, messed everything up, and then left, and still had control over these areas, and you're looking at these areas like, oh well, they can't rule themselves. Okay, whatever. Since as for the white people, it's nothing new. They've always sought willing vassal states. In neocolonialism, you had the Commonwealth. Yep. That's what they do. They go out and conquer. They wrote that, and that, remember, that's the history that they romanticized. That's why Alexander is the Great. They romanticized this stuff. He's missing. Yeah, misinformed. Oh, gotcha. Misinformed. Yep. Misinformed like a mug. It says we should be practicing Pan-African FBA before we ever consider Pan-Africanism. They don't practice that. Many of us don't like each other. That's why I always say, if you ain't got your stuff together at home, you can't think about what's going on in anywhere else. If you don't got if your house ain't in order, how you gonna help somebody else? I'm just saying. They say white people can run the country better than that. Yeah, all right. I'm just saying. But once again, when you see the world through a white supremacist mind frame, and remember, a lot of us do, because that's a part of the programming. A lot of us do. A lot of black folks see the world through the same lens and don't even know it. Marquette see the world through that lens and he don't even know it. Because Marquette is like, you got to watch that. I'm gonna put, I think I put a link in the description for the whole video, but he's funny. He's funny. So yeah. Alexander, there you go. Alexander the Weak. America. The solution with Africa is that most leaders in the African continent are controlled by the same colonizers of the past, with the IMF and the World Bank that gives loans. Right. The colonization has not ended. It has not ended. That was stated earlier. It was stated earlier that the true pilgrim said that earlier, that the colonization never ended. It never ended. And we got to remember that. We got to remember that these European countries are still taking from these African countries. But yeah.
Well, how do you calculate it? I can give you a couple examples on
how do you calculate it?
Well, I'll give you the most important example, which is the Congo. And if you're going to speak about this, especially overwhelmingly, you surely are going to want to be educated on it.
How are they
and
doing?
I say this not to debate, but just merely to teach. So the Congo was colonized by King Leopold, the Belgians, and the atrocities that they committed there are horrible. Some would say it's the greatest genocide that has ever occurred in the human experience in terms of death toll. Others would say that without death toll is the most brutal, because they'd amputate the limbs of children,
they wiped
boys
out
and
millions.
girls, to make sure that they could extract rubber. And when you have examples like this, or just the fact that circa the 1960s, many of the African nations throughout the colonial powers, many of them by war, you mentioned Rhodesia, you call it Zimbabwe, at the time it was Rhodesia. So that would only indicate that the natives were not happy with white rule, or else they would have just left things as they are. So that point is very poor. And that's why I don't debate, because it's,
okay. I mean,
that's why I'm just interviewing you. I don't debate. I just interview you because it's
you gotta
too
let me
easy.
give a rebuttal to that, at least, because we can use one example, but there's a plethora of other examples.
Well, I just used two. I used the one that I spoke of first, which is the most important one, because if you look at landmass, the Congo is enormous.
Okay.
And then you referenced Zimbabwe, Rhodesia, and so I referenced the same one that you referenced. And further, it's consistent throughout the entire continent.
Sure.
But I'm not debating, because I find debates to be too easy. I want to
give you an answer to the question, though. So you gave two examples. I'll give two examples. So in Zimbabwe, they implemented land-based reparations. They got rid of the white farmers. And after the black people assumed the roles of the white farmers, the average Zimbabwean citizen went into a caloric deficit. The second example I would give is
let's finish the first example before you go on. Because is the second one in Rhodesia as well?
See, you are debating. You are debating.
No, hold on.
You're saying we're not debating. You are debating.
I want it to be noted for the audience that I reached out to one of them. And the reason I reached out to one of them It's because I was already on his profile. It wasn't any particular favor. I was just.
And remember, this whole conversation, everybody in this video sees the world through a white lens. Everybody in this video. I'm just putting that out there.
It's already on your profile, Forrest. And I invited one person because I didn't want there to be too many voices at once, just because I want there'll be times, at times, some back and forth because we're talking about race.
Sure.
But it just, there are two of you guys, and just for the ease of the conversation, we'll just try to balance it off and we'll switch back and forth. But the reason that I wanted to hold you to the first example, because if you're going to a different country, then we don't want to leave the other one unfinished. So are you going to a different country, or you're giving a second example in the same country?
I'm giving you a second example in the same country.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, please do. Go on.
I'm playing out the same thing that you did. So
yeah, go ahead.
In the 1960s, there's actually an excellent documentary about this. It's called Africa Audio. You're smart about it. It's also the title.
You got to repeat that because you faded out. You have to repeat that. I want people to hear what you're saying.
Oh, sorry. So I said there's a really fascinating documentary for your audience or anybody who's interested in this topic, from maybe looking at the history of colonization from a different point of view. We can call it white supremacy, but it's just a matter of like being open-minded. It's called Africa Audio. It's an Italian documentary, but in some countries it's also called Africa Blood and Guts. And what they show is that within a month of the British colonizers leaving Kenya in 1966, the country falls into complete disaster. Within approximately a month, the native black people commit an atrocity against the Arab people. And there's actual real live helicopter footage where they're marching these people out to the beaches and killing them. Within a month,
How did the African people behave before colonization? Don't give me no half-cocked examples of behavior of black people a month after colonization. Don't give me that. A month after people pulled out, but they still have their influence and they're still taken from the lands. How did black people behave before colonization? That's the question. That's the question on the table. Before colonization, because we're comparing before colonization and after colonization, because they are saying that black people are not capable of running their own countries, running their own civilization. So how did black people behave? What civilizations did we have before colonization? What was our quality of life before colonization? And pick a place in the globe. Pick a place in the globe where people of African descent existed. Pick a place before colonization and let's study the quality of life. Don't give me no half-cocked argument after colonization. You're talking about a month later. Stop it. Stop it. Look, they probably drugged them. Like, man, but it's a disingenuous argument as well. Let's look at these places before the white man showed up. Where you know, after a month of the British pulling out, a month, they're still destabilized from colonization. How long? First of all, how long were they there? How long was the British there? And after a month of pulling out, they're just supposed to get on the good foot. And you were saying that black people don't know how to run civilizations. Clearly, white man, clearly, Mr. Frojax, y'all boys, you don't know how to run civilizations. Clearly.
Completely disrupt the ecosystem. They killed like 12,000 baby elephants. There's footage of chopped off limbs. It's very disturbing. So in my mind, it's not a matter of race.
I mean, because we can look at the state of Europe before 7/11. Before 7/11 AD, we can look at the state of Europe and see it was in mad disarray. We can look at how Europe was even up to the 1400s. Europe is what it is now because it was able to grape, GRAPE, the African continent, the Caribbean, the Americas, They were able to take from these places. That's why Europe and the United States and all these other Western places are what they are today, because they were able to colonize, kick ass, and take. I'm just saying. But Europe was trash before they were able to take from these other places where black people existed, take their resources and build up Europe. Europe was trash. Hot trash Europe was. Everybody knows it. They call it the Dark Ages for a reason. The bubonic plagues. They didn't even wipe their asses properly. Europe was trash. Come on now. They know it. Europe was trash before that. Before Tariq showed up, before the Africans and the Moors, before Africans, Moors, and the Jewish showed up in Europe, Europe was trash. Europe was transformed by its outsiders. The Renaissance happened because of the outsiders. The blacks, the Semites came in. That's how Europe was transformed. Don't talk to us about some civilizations. And the Americas, the United States of America, they had to obliterate the majority of native populations to build this. They had to obliterate the majority of native populations to build all this stuff over here. Come on now. I'm just saying. Ty, it ain't never late when you here. Hey y'all, Ty is in the building. It ain't never late. It ain't never late, and you can go back and replay the first half of this. But you in here, Ty. It's all good. You in here now. We calling out these lies. Now, Marquette, I am not on Marquette's side. I like the conversation. I'm not on Marquette. Let me make that clear. I'm not on Marquette's side, but I like the conversation. And I thought it would be something great to debunk. Yeah, Ty up in the building, man. Welcome. But let's get back to these lies. And if you can get past the arrogance of Marquette.
Superiority. It's just
so with Kenya, the Kenya example, it seems unrelated to the core argument. Your core argument is that the blacks were better off under white rule.
So the question was about South Africa originally.
Yeah, the question was originally about South Africa, and then you had essentially stated that the blacks are better off under white rule. I said that, yes, that's white supremacy, and I didn't say that to like insult anyone. I just said that in terms that's a fundamental driving belief of that kind of thinking, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not here to debate that. And then one of you took issue with it. It seemed like it was more so forced at white supremacy, and so well, then
I take issue with it because I'll allow that brand. It's
sure,
fine.
but let me just give a note. So the Kenya example is very flimsy because it didn't address. One second, the Kenya example is very flimsy because it didn't address like the core argumentative piece, which is that the blacks are better off under the whites. You mentioned the first example of Rhodesia, now known as Zimbabwe, and you mentioned that the caloric intake dove after the white farmers left, and there are reasonable arguments to make. That actually was not one of the better ones. The best argument to make in favor of why the whites should have stayed would be that
they did great.
They were commercial farmers and they had the experience and they had the time invested in being good at that. Just like if you take professionals.
They should have leave people stuff alone, but that's what colonizers do. That's what colonizers do. But Marquette is also showing himself because they should have stayed. Because no. Get the hell on. If it's not going to be in the benefit of the native people, but once again, we got to remember, power is taken, it's not given. Freedom is taken, it's not given. We're going to continue to see the world through the lens of the white supremacist, as long as it exists, and as long as we continue to lay down and be oppressed by it, as long as we continue to lay down and be second, third, fourth class citizens, as long as we're comfortable with white supremacy. Like, we keep complaining about it on one end, but on the other end, we don't want it to stop, because then that means the real work has to start for us. Well, then you need to shut up. But yeah, let's get back to it though. Please hit that like button, please, and subscribe and comment and share and all of that.
Out of any situation.
You're right. Africa's doing great.
Now you're interrupting. You don't have to interrupt. You don't have to interrupt. You don't have to interrupt. Like, interrupting is not necessary. We're having a civil conversation. You don't have to interrupt. I notice people only do that when they have a problem with the truth getting out. I've not said anything foul. I'm just responding with facts. Now, with regard to the Zimbabwe situation, one thing you didn't mention, because you mentioned caloric intake, most of these countries are organized with trade, and generally you're going to trade with developed countries. You're going to trade with countries that are free. You're going to trade where there's pre-existing lines of trade. One of the big issues that occurred once the British were taken out of power in Rhodesia is that they had enormous sanctions put onto Zimbabwe. Those sanctions are what crashed the economy. In addition to what you mentioned, which is the exit of the white farmers. I think that was poorly undertaken. However, it was the most genius thing in the world, because there's only one wealth in this world.
Land.
It's land. So being that land is the only wealth, and that is a black land, he returned the land to its true owners so that they could exploit it for themselves. The reason—
colonization at its finest. Colonization at its finest. But you have to understand who you dealing with. You have to understand your enemy. They're not playing games. It's a game to you. That's why we're losing. Remember, black folk, we're at the chessboard with Uno cards in our hand turned backwards. We're not even playing the same game. And the game we playing, we showing our hand. Because we don't understand our own history, which is a problem. And then guys like this get out of here and they start talking, and then these are the people who are influencing our young people. Him, Reverend Turncoat, all these folks are influencing our young people. Because going back to the first video I showed, where the white teacher told the black students that if it wasn't for the Constitution, they would still be her slaves. And the black women said, we're not going to take our kids out of this school. We're going to fight and make sure they do cultural competency classes. They're going to do what they call it. I can't think of the other word. Cultural competency stuff, bro. Racial biases and stuff. They're going to have to go to trainings and stuff, because that's going to get the racism out of her. That's going to get the racism out of all of the people who are influencing our young people by sending them to racial bias trainings, which we already know do not work. We're soft. We have to change our programming ASAP. Robert say they're natives to no land. Exactly. And we need to understand that most of us don't understand the system of white supremacy. That's why most of us are confused. Like when I be feeling like I be beating up on James Baldwin in our Friday breakdowns, because we always come across, and I don't be trying to look for videos with James Baldwin. And I always find a video with James Baldwin in it, and he's always making a moral appeal to the system of white supremacy. And I say that because that's what most of us do. That's what most black people do. Most black people make a moral appeal to the system of white supremacy. And you can't, it doesn't work. You can't do that. Well, you can do it, but it don't work, because it's not about morals. Conquering is not about morals. People they have a different set of morals. They don't have the same set of morals that we have. And we try to force our morals on other groups of people. How are we going to force our morals on a group of people who have us oppressed? Clearly the moral sentiment is not working. It says no training will ever correct. I'm telling you, you either is or you ain't. But that's why we have to understand that we need to be in control of what we consume and what our young people consume. What's going on, Chisel Chipper up in the building, man? Appreciate you, y'all. And round of applause, Chisel Chipper getting up in here. You heard me? So we in here debunking debunking false information, man. So let's go.
That they had enormous hyperinflation is because of what the British, the United Kingdom, one of the most powerful countries in the world, did to sanction them. That's number one. Now, when you want to talk about the functioning of a government, which government today has had so many defaults on their loans? It's essentially a white country. And since Forrest was speaking up, which country is it that's been defaulting on all of their loans?
I have no idea.
Then you shouldn't debate me. It's Argentina. You should know it because it's been in the news. It's been in the news a lot. You were debating when you were interrupting me. That's why I said we're gonna have an interview. When you were interrupting me, you were attempting to debate.
You let me know when I can respond, and I'll respond.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying we both know that it's not civilized to talk while someone else is talking. I haven't done that to either of you, even though there's two of you.
You have.
But yeah, I've only done it in the capacity of a journalist. I've not done it in the capacity.
Okay, so you get to interrupt. My bad.
Well, you have to remember the only
they do that a lot. They do that a lot. But I think also that was by design for Marquette to, make him look good. But yeah, they do. They like to jump people. I mean, but why fight fair when you can't? When you don't have to, though. And that's one thing we need to understand. Why fight fair when you don't have to? That's our enemies. They don't fight fair. But that's I'm glad you pointing that out, though. I'm glad the propagandists, shout out to you. Glad you pointing that out. Why fight fair when you don't have to? Chisel Chipper with the $5 super chat. I appreciate you, my brother. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate the support. They don't have to fight. They never fight fair. That's how you gain control. You don't fight fair. They look like villains to funny enough. Hey man, you know what I'm talking about? Chisel Chipper also became a new member. I appreciate you, my brother. I appreciate you. Ricardo says, in my honest opinion, our main problem is that we be pleasing to yep while fighting them, but they vanish us to get their points across. We're not ready to, I agree. No, I agree. We be on our knees for white folk, begging them to love us. Didn't the US give Argentina several, man, I'm not listening to everything Marquette is saying, but I like the conversation. But once again, shout out to Chisel Chip. I appreciate you for the super chat and becoming a new member. I appreciate you, my brother. Let's get back into it. Yes, sir. Let's get back into it.
The only reason I came out of the journalist position is because you've been asking me questions.
Yeah.
Well, I was responding to a question that was asked to me. I didn't even get to respond to it fully without getting interrupted in the first place.
Go ahead.
So you said Kenya was a flimsy example. Look, it doesn't have to be a personal thing, but the reality is we have to ask ourselves, the question is very simple. Would you rather live in a society run by white people or a society built by black people? Kenya is a case study. Within a month of all the white British people leaving, the country turns into an absolute unmitigated disaster.
When is the last time we had an example of a black country that was completely 100% free of the influence of any colonization? When's the last time we had that? And show me that country and show me the conditions of that country and the people. And we're not going to compare it to your modern standards. We're going to let the people tell us about their quality of life. Because once again, they're going to try to, another trick in that is if the country don't look the way they say it should look, then it's not going to be civilized, because it has to be civilized on their level. No. We're not talking about that. We're talking about what's the quality of the country, what's the quality of life of the people. Show us that. Show us the people who are 100% free of any influence of the system of white supremacy, and where do they exist, and what's the quality of life? They can hate each other, but can chill out long enough. Yep. They learned that a long time ago. They learned that when the Moors came in, when I was talking about 711 AD earlier. We're not Kenyans. Our history isn't like exactly. But they talking about black people as a whole. And that's the problem. They're talking about black people throughout the diaspora. You're right. We are not Kenya. We are not. But they're talking about black people as a whole throughout the diaspora cannot run civilizations. We cannot create civilizations, countries. Ultimately, black people can't build stuff. We can't control our own destinies. We need white people to run our lives. But you're right. We aren't Kenyans. We aren't Kenyans. So, because we got examples of white folk who came right, but you know.
It's not a personal thing. It's not a white supremacist thing, whatever that means. It's just the reality. Look at the evidence.
Yeah, they do.
Okay, so did you yield the floor?
Well, yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Okay. I only say that because you stopped talking. I just didn't want to interrupt you.
That's
if you
fair.
have an elaboration.
That's perfectly fair.
Okay, sure.
I mean, there's more to be said, but go ahead.
There's an infinite amount to be said. But the fact of the matter is the white supremacist perspective is interventionist. It's the inclination to.
What you mean, AF? You're saying, no, we can't create any W. What you mean by that? Just want to be clear on. I want to make sure your comment is clear.
Rule over other peoples. It's a warlike mentality. It's a devilish mentality. That's what forms the core of the white supremacist perspective and behavior on earth, which has been dangerous to all of humankind. You see, if you were just a racially conscious white person, you said, hey, I don't hate other people. I'm all about being white. I'd say, cool, man, do you. Great. There's a ton of countries even today that are very homogenous. I do a lot of business in Poland. Lovely country, very orderly, peaceful, great culture, and it's overwhelmingly white, super white. Great place to go live if you don't like diversity. And if you were waving a magic wand, as it were, you should want to get the whites out of Africa because they don't belong there. That's not their place. You should send them back to where they want to be, back to where they should be. Because the truth of the matter is, it doesn't matter to you how blacks are getting on because you're white. Be among the whites. Live your life as a white person among white people. Leave the blacks to themselves. So the real question is, why is it that you want to be embedded among a people that are not your people in a land that is not your land? Why not just say, like, those whites in South Africa, they're Dutch, they're English. Send them back to Northern Europe, send them back to the UK, and then we can get on fine. That's the most logical thing. What you say is not the most logical thing. It's the white supremacist thing. And I'm saying there's nothing wrong with that, but it's not the most logical. The most logical is that, white with white, black with black.
That's fair. I'd like to respond to that. So I guess there's two ways of looking at the idea of embedding yourself in other cultures, either as a person who wants to commit conquest or as a person who wants to create abundance. I have no interest in waging conquest on non-white people. I want to create abundance. And if that would encompass going to other countries, I think that ultimately that would be a good thing. And I think that, yes, there's a history of human rights abuse.
You want to create abundance through your lens. You want to go to somebody else's country and impose your ideas of how they should be living. If that's not the mind of a colonist, of a colonizer, I don't know what it is. Hey, my way of living is the way of living. It's superior to yours. It's what you should be doing. So I'm going to come to your country and I'm going to impose my way of living on you because your way of living ain't good enough. I want to create abundance. I want to create abundance through my lens. And if it's not abundance through my lens, then it ain't real abundance. Because it has to be my way. Because your country, according, basically what he's saying, according to me, y'all not good enough. That's what they was telling them in the past. I'm just saying. They all say where they were and watch Gaddafi be overthrown, only to FAFO that their leadership could be next. Hey. They keep messing with these folk. Man, shout out to Ibrahim Traore, please. I hope they keep that man protected. Shout out to Ibrahim Traore, but he needs help. He needs support. He needs the diaspora behind him. I'm just saying, Pan-Africanists, we should be behind. Everybody who championing Pan-Africanism need to be behind Ibrahim Traore.
if you look at the colonists who came to sub-Saharan Africa. But I think that overall, in a lot of these countries, they built a better quality of life. So there is a question of like, look, if white people are running the societies and people overall are safer, if things are more efficient, wouldn't that be a more like morally acceptable rule of thumb?
Right, Ricardo.
Why do you feel the need to be among black people? Why not just be in Europe and do
I don't. I don't personally.
Okay, so I'm saying, why are you arguing for whites to be among blacks instead of just going and being among each other?
Well, I think that a lot of the countries in sub-Saharan Africa that the white people colonized were pretty great societies. I think Rhodesia was awesome. I think South Africa was pretty cool. I mean,
have you been to South Africa?
No, definitely not.
Have you been to Zimbabwe?
No.
Okay. Well, you say not right now with regards to South Africa. I've gone many times. South Africa is not experiencing a white genocide. It's not experiencing attacks on whites. This is all completely fabricated.
I talked to white people who are like actively getting attacked. And
okay, you did just interrupt me. I just want to make a note of that in case you guys claim that that's not the case.
Okay, go ahead.
And more importantly, I think it's probably more valid if you've actually been to the country versus like talking about what you heard. And I would even challenge, because I've been to South Africa more than 13 times. I see you shaking your head no. That's why I don't debate you guys. But I see you shaking your head no. I've been to South Africa over 13 times. I've done business there. Who do you think has more contacts in South Africa, be them black or white, you or me?
I hope it's you.
Jackson, we're waiting on your response. Who has more South African
Do I have to experience something to be able to have an opinion?
Jackson, I'm asking you, who has more South African contacts, you or me?
I would assume you. Yeah, sure.
Yes, and it's not even close. It's a huge gap. I have way more South African contacts, and they're in business, and most of them are white. And the reason that most of them are white is because whites control the economy in South Africa for obvious reasons. And as much as that's the case, you're operating on your biases and your emotions. Like, for example, between the two of you, I would say that Forrest comes off more reasonable, whereas you come off as psychotically racist. And racism itself is an irrational thing. It's a very irrational thing. And that's why generally I don't debate white supremacists, because they have trouble sticking to the truth. Like, you just tried to tell me anecdotes, and you also tried to speak with authority on a place you've never even visited to someone who's been there many times and has many contacts. I've hired employees there. I've done business there. So it would be very arrogant to try to speak to me with authority about a place you've never even been to. Have you ever been to the continent of Africa, Mr. Jackson? Jackson, have you been to the continent? A lot of things.
I got given an opportunity.
Real quick, Jackson, have you been to the continent of Africa?
I haven't, and it's irrelevant.
You have not? No, it's very relevant, actually.
No, it's not.
No, it's very relevant. It's only irrelevant if you have a strong need to be right at all cost. Sometimes it's okay to say, no, sometimes it's okay to be humble and say, I don't know, or I'm unsure, or I need to do more research. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, you take your own lesson.
That's the way I try to approach the conversation, which is acknowledging what I don't know. You're talking from the experience of I heard, and you've not even been to the continent of Africa. I think that's pretty bad.
Well, you saying that you have more physical experience in South Africa is also an anecdote, by the way. But I do want to chime in, because I know
I can speak to data, just like I spoke to data with the situations in Rhodesia and Congo. I'm not trying to debate because it would be too easy.
Yeah, I don't have much of a dog in this particular fight. I just went back to the first thing, because when I was interrupting you, I didn't mean to do it rudely. I was just trying to chime in.
No worries.
Right. So the initial thing, you called his point white supremacist. Okay.
Right.
Which is, mind you, not an insult. I don't consider it an insult. I just want you guys to both know I don't consider myself an insult. I feel like he took it as an insult.
So I was trying to explain. I think it's an insult. No, because what it is, and he would put it better, it's terminological spell casting. It's a term that just imports a bunch of other things into it. But before you interrupt, I asked you, what does that mean? Because you said it, right? And you said, well, let's defer to white supremacists. So if I don't identify as a white supremacist and you want to defer to them, then who's supposed to define what white supremacist is? Really what it is, it's a means to just kind of silence an opinion. You said,
well, if you are saying that you believe that white people should be controlling and running black countries and black nations because they do it better than the black people. How is that not a white supremacist viewpoint? And remember, they're using like South Africa and Rhodesia as their examples, but they're talking about globally, and especially over here in America. They're saying that black people, we don't have the capabilities, and black people have never had in the past, and we've never have now, and we don't have now the capability to run our own nations, to build anything for ourselves, to run anything for ourselves. We shouldn't be able to self-actualize because we don't have the capacity to do that. So we should actualize and define ourselves through the lens of others. I don't like Saint nor his personality. He's uppity, step and fetch it. I'm here for the conversation. I'm not a Marquette fan. I'm just here for the conversation. White folks will lie to you before they tell you they don't know something. I proved that to my son at a young age, and they are lying out of both sides of their mouth, both sides of their neck. Yeah. Says on FBA. All right. What is that? What does that mean? I'm sorry. Help me out. What does that mean? I want to make sure we fully understand what you're saying. What does that mean? But you know, the overall conversation, forget Marquette, but listening to what the white guys are saying, right? The idea, though, once again, that white people should be running the lives of others because they do it better. They have the capacity. And then to get mad when somebody say, well, that's a white supremacist viewpoint. You sound like a white supremacist. If you got the white supremacist mindset, you have white supremacist rhetoric, well, that would usually say that you might be a white supremacist. Cheryl SV1UV with the $20 super chat. Cheryl, I greatly appreciate you. Thank you. I appreciate you greatly. Thank you. Jedi Skywalker says, yep, facts, study, rap the news, YouTube don't study. Gullible, illegal immigrants. Hey. So, yes, I appreciate it. So, yeah, they wilding out here, man. We know what time it is. We're not dumb over here. We're not done. You said, we're not dumb. Excuse me, we're not dumb. On full blood American lineage, bro. That my lineage and I proud my ancestors built this country from the ground up, sir. Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that. Remember, on this channel, on the Shoulders of Giants, on this channel, before it was cool for black folk to say that we are proud to be black people from America, years ago when everybody was African, and me, Pat, and PC was saying, hey, we are of the African diaspora. Our rhetoric hasn't changed. We are of the African diaspora, but we are black Americans, and we ain't got no problem with it. What's wrong with being a black person from America? I was literally on this channel saying that. What's wrong with being a black person from America? What's wrong with that? So I'm just glad everybody on board, but at the same time, we don't promote diaspora wars over here. We don't promote diaspora wars. We don't mess with no black folk from anywhere who bought that bull. So, hey, Cheryl, it's going down. Hit me up. So let's get back into it.
And the core of white supremacy is like wanting to like rule over a people. I said in my initial answer, if I could wave a magic wand, we'd all sing Kumbaya. I don't want to rule over anybody. I didn't care about politics till I was 28 years old. Some of my favorite people in the world are non-white. So when people say white supremacists, they're importing all of these preconditions that I just want to like rule over people, and I hate non-whites because they're subservient to me. That is not at all what I think. But again, we're talking about the interests of representation, and that's why I am pro-white. So when you say white supremacists, it's like, what exactly do you mean by that? Because I don't say that.
That's a good question.
I guess I'll let you
it's not
respond.
about what you say. And I think that it's not about are accurate. And I think you miss.
It's not about you calling yourself a white supremacist. Your ideas, your language, your behavior, all of those things.
the point where I drew a line between the two of you. I realize you're both brothers, but you represent different positions, and I've asked you all the same question separately.
Right.
And in some cases, there were separate answers. And in as much as that's the case, when we saw the differentiation, I said, okay, well, Jackson, you're more on the white supremacist side. Now, mind you, I have no problem with white supremacists white supremacy, and I describe what it is, and that's what he was speaking to. Whereas what you were speaking to was not white supremacists. And that's why I use the term. Now, I agree with you that there are people who will call you a Nazi, they'll call you a white supremacist, and they're doing it to insult you. They're doing it to try to make people hate you. They're doing it to shut you up. And I was just doing it in the sense of descriptive.
You're just talking.
In as much as he clearly believes that whites are superior at running societies, which he's entitled to that perspective, and there's evidence for it. So I said, you're a white supremacist. And that's descriptive, and it's accurate. It's completely accurate. So I don't see
I don't speak
the hoopla.
Well, it's not, I don't speak for Jackson, but in his, his wand waving example, he said he would leave people to find their own destiny. He didn't say whites would conquest over all the non-whites. So I don't think his position.
Keith, I want to make sure we know exactly what you're talking about. What you were saying exactly is not happening anymore. Just make sure we all know what you're talking about.
And again, he can speak for himself, comes from a position of wanting that. And then second to that, what was the other thing? The example of why that's white supremacist is him saying that they built a superior civilization, South Africa, to the one that existed before it. How was that supremacy? If there's a white basketball team and a black basketball team, and the black basketball team demolishes the white, how was that not black supremacy?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Mr. White Man. So if the black basketball team, well, let's say if the white basketball team existed before the black basketball team, and the black basketball team came and colonized the white basketball team and colonized the white basketball team for centuries and centuries and centuries, and then did a pseudo freedom of the white basketball team and sent them back out to play with their legs cut off. So you're going to play basketball now with your arms and your legs cut off. And you're going to play against a black basketball team that not only has their arms and their legs, but all the resources that they pillaged from you. Is that a fair game? Because that's literally what happened to black people. I'm just saying.
To say they're better. They're just better at basketball. Why does this have to import all of these preconditions and words and things?
So I did not object to whether it was a better society. I think we have to acknowledge it's like better for who, and that I destroyed effortlessly. And I said the most important thing is that why not just have the whites with the whites? We notice consistently.
Jedi Skywalker, please don't scam the chat. Please, 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 please don't scam the chat. I don't want to have to kick you out, but please don't scam the chat, please.
The problem with the white ruling class is their inclination to go around the whole planet Earth and commit many of the crimes that the white speakers today like to talk about: murder, RAPE, all forms of immorality and violence, which is essentially how you establish colonization, right? You use extraordinary levels of violence and genocide. And so, in as much as that's the case, the people there clearly did not consider them to be welcomed, and which is why they threw off the yoke of colonialism circa the 1960s. One particular country was never colonized. Do you know which country in Africa that was?
I don't know, but I do have a response.
Jackson, do you know which country?
Liberia?
No, Liberia actually was created to repatriate Black Americans back to the continent of Africa. And that was a really interesting experiment. But it was Ethiopia, the opposite side of the continent. Anyways, I say all that to say, the white supremacist position is that Black people need you. They're embedded, like helping them, and they don't need you. And if they're going to suffer, let them suffer. It's fine. Leave the whites in Europe, leave the whites where they come from, and leave the land of the Blacks to the Black people. It's the supremacist mentality that wants to be there ruling over others. And the idea of supremacy, or that you should rule over others, has created much violence, death, and bloodshed. And only the white supremacist is not able to acknowledge that, because they're psychotically racist. It's irrational. That's why enslaved Africans came to America on a slave ship named Jesus. So the kind of, psychological issues you have to be a good Christian while having a slave ship called Jesus, it's extraordinary levels of delusion.
Can I say one last thing? I don't want to get hung up on that thing. It was his example anyway.
I know, right? It's his. Just
but
little brothers. I have a little brother too. They're all
right.
That's just condescending.
But you are.
I'm just teasing you, Jackson. Have a sense of humor, buddy. You don't have to be so sensitive.
I'm not sensitive.
Even if his
like, I have a little brother, and we tease little brothers. I'm just like teasing you.
All right. That's enough of what they talking about. So, but you got the crux of the conversation, because it's a 2-hour conversation. We ain't got that much time here, right? It's a 2-hour conversation, but you get the crux of the main part that I was getting at within this conversation about the ideas of white supremacists, people who support the system of white supremacy, people who practice white supremacy, people who grew up with that mindset of the white supremacists, right? That's how they talk, that's how they behave, those are the ideas. Because the question is asked, because once again, at the beginning of the conversation, he said if they had a magic wand, they would wave their magic wand and leave people alone. One of the brothers said, and people would just be to themselves, by themselves, doing what they need to do. Then the other brother came back and said, yeah, but white people need to rule over black people because white people do it better. White people run people's lives better. They control civilizations better. They're better people, better leaders. And then the question is asked, well, why don't you just leave black people alone? Just let black people do what they need to do by themselves, just exist by themselves. Well, because black people not doing that good enough, because it's not up to their, we don't meet their standards. The way our societies, the way our things will be ran doesn't meet their standards. Well, it's not supposed to meet your damn standards. Why should how we live and how we exist meet your standards? Oh, because you have a mindset of supremacy. You got a mindset of supremacy. That's why. And so all we're doing is just exposing stuff, man. Just exposing people, exposing mindsets, exposing our enemies and friends of our enemies. Because, the Saint and Sinner dude, the Marquette dude, he made some points, but I'm not going to act like I'm a fan of his. A lot of the conversation, he was trying too hard to bait them and all these other stuff. But I found a good sweet spot in this conversation that I really want to cover because it stood out to me. I watched about a good hour and a half of the conversation. But yeah, this is what we're dealing with, right? White supremacy is something that's going to continue to exist until we do something real about it, until we take real actionable steps, until we decide that, hey, we want to be better. We want to be strong. We truly want freedom. We want real freedom. We want real independence. We want real liberation. But it's going to come at a cost. It's going to come at a cost. If we want to truly replace the system of white supremacy with a system of justice, like Neely Fuller was talking about, and a compensatory code, because we all on code, right? How many of you have read this book? And not only read the book, but have implemented the code into your life? How many of us, our behaviors are constructive, that we're doing the most constructive things that we could do for our people in our communities? How many of us are giving the most constructive help to those who need it the most? Or how many of us are cosplaying like we woke or like we down for our people? Because you know how we like to do. I don't care how many dashikis you own. I don't care how deep your bookshelf is. I don't care what you smell like. I don't care about none of the shea butter. I don't care about none of the hairstyles, none of that, none of the names. What actions, what behaviors are we taking to improve our situations? Right? Because we already know what they talking about. We already know what they got going on. They are going to continue to push their narratives. But what are we going to do? I'm so tired of hearing black people complaining about stories that the white media ain't pushing when we got all this black media out here. There's no excuse in 2025 for any black story to not be pushed, because black people, we can push them ourselves, but we always see, and that's another problem on the other end. The outcome of the conditioning is so too many black people, and that was somebody left a comment of that earlier. Too many black people still welcome the white people and want the white people to run our nations and run our lives, because it's too much work for us to do it by ourselves. Yep, got to separate. Shout out to Dion. We got to read these books and implement it. Shout out to you, Dion. We got to read these things. We got to read this information and implement it. Right? FBA delineation, economic empowerment. So, you know, when I'm gonna be real about the FBA delineation. When I first heard it, I was like, damn, man, I don't want us to have to do that. But it come to a point to where a lot of the disrespect is just crazy. Did y'all see the videos of the like some of the diaspora beefs that's going on? So say ladies from Bermuda went to Jamaica around the time of the hurricane and were complaining about the meals, and those ladies were mistaken for Black American ladies. So it was a whole beef between the Jamaicans and Black Americans, and then the Haitians came in and said, Jamaicans, because y'all, this how y'all be treating us. But it's like, we know we got problems. We need to bury the strife between each other. The white people continue to play on the tribalism. They continue to play on the ignorance. They continue to play on the insanity. The programming has worked. Create niggas, and niggas will destroy everything. That's why we need to make sure we understand why Black psychology exists, why it's so powerful, and why we need to start learning it and implementing these African-centered mindsets and these African-centered frameworks into our living and our being. And you don't have to call it African-centered. You can call it Black American-centered, but it has to be a framework that is of us and by us, that helps to empower us. We got to change our program. Well, I'm getting that. Got to change our program. And so next Saturday, me and PhD will be going deep diving on Black psychology. That's why I'm starting to transition, talk about this Black psychology. We're going to start from the beginning and get a good understanding of what Black psychology is. And then we're going to learn more about our Black scholars. And we're going to go on a little journey and take a couple episodes to understand Black psychology more, break it down more so we can implement it better within our lives. But we need to know the history of it as well. So I have a video I'm about to show you. I'm going to close this out showing you a video that I put out on my Wednesday video. The birth of Black psychology and the reclamation of the Black mind. Says, even when Jamaicans found out the woman was Bermudan, they still reigned Jamaican funk. Yeah, they did, because it was the Ebony Tate. It was the actress Ebony Tate. She's Bermudan. Yes. When I met a white African at work who told me he was an African American, hey man, that's when you knew it was time to give it up. That's when you knew the African American title was time to give it up. Definitely go into Dr. Well, man, we covering everybody, Ty. You already know that, Ty. We covering Dr. Amos, man. I don't know. Between Dr. Amos and Neely Fuller, I don't know, but yeah. Says, what's a good email address? ontheshoulders1@gmail.com. Hold up, I posted it earlier. Let me find it. ontheshoulders1@gmail.com, and that's the numeral 1, not the spelling out of the number 1. Where it's at? Hold on. Let me find it, because I posted it earlier. Well, I dropped it in the comments earlier. My email, so you can hit me up, man. Y'all, please drop me lines, drop me information, videos, concepts, ideas about shows, all that stuff, man. Look, this ain't about me. This is a us thing. It's my email, my brother. Hit me up. Renee uptight. That's what I'm talking about. But check me out. This is a video I dropped on Wednesday. The birth of Black psychology and the reclamation of the black mind. Y'all tell me what y'all think. Hold up, let me say. And the answer is they cannot let us thrive on our own. Who would they be superior to? This is why the who's are embedded in Africa. They can say, look at how we live. Hey. When you're a parasite, you always need a host. But the host need to be stronger and better and kick out them parasites. But check out this. I'm closing out on this video. Y'all check it out. I love y'all. Hold on, let me stop. Let me stop my music so we can, because I got music in the video, so let me do that. In 1968, America was on fire. The civil rights movement was in full swing, but so was white backlash. Martin Luther King Jr. had just been assassinated. Black students were demanding studies programs in universities, and across the country, black professionals were waking up to the reality that the systems they worked in, even psychology, were not built for them, nor for their people. It was in this moment of turmoil and awakening that the Association of Black Psychologists, known as AB-Psy, was born. To understand why AB-Psy was necessary, we need to look at the world of psychology in the 1960s. At that time, psychology in America was almost entirely controlled by white men. The theories, the research, and even the norms used to measure mental health all reflected European values and perspectives. Black people were studied, but not understood. They were analyzed, but rarely respected. In fact, much of mainstream psychology was used to justify racism, from intelligence tests that labeled black children mentally inferior to personality theories that called black resistance pathological. For black psychologists working inside that system, the contradictions were painful. How could they serve their people when the very discipline they practiced saw blackness as a problem to be fixed? In the summer of 1968, during the American Psychological Association's annual convention in San Francisco, a group of black psychologists decided that they've had enough. They gathered in a small room, frustrated and determined, and began to speak boldly about the racism in their field and the need for a psychology that served black people. Out of that meeting came the Association of Black Psychologists, a new independent organization committed to using psychology as a tool for liberation, healing, and empowerment rather than control. Their founding statement was revolutionary, and it declared, "We are determined to begin to create a psychology that is meaningful to black people, one that understands our culture, our communities, and our struggle." Among the founders were some of the greatest minds in black intellectual history. Dr. Joseph White, known as the godfather of black psychology, Dr. Robert L. Greene, Dr. Reginald Jones, Dr. Ruth G. King, Dr. William Bill Cross, Dr. Naeem Akbar, and countless others. They rejected the notion that black people should be compared to white norms, arguing instead that black psychology must be grounded in African-centered values, community, spirituality, resilience, and the interconnectedness of life. In 1970, Dr. Joseph White published a groundbreaking article in Ebony magazine titled "Toward a Black Psychology." This piece was a cultural earthquake. For the first time, he articulated what many had felt, that the psychology of black people could not be understood through the lens of white America. He wrote, "There are in fact different psychologies, one for each culture, and the psychology of black people must reflect the realities of black life." From that moment on, AB-Psy became more than a professional group. It became a movement. Members across the country worked to establish black psychology programs at universities, train mental health professionals to work in Black communities, and develop culturally grounded approaches to therapy and healing. In the 1970s, ABSI introduced the concept of Black Mental Health Day and pushed for Black psychologists to be involved in community health centers, schools, and prisons, places where Black people's minds and spirits were most at risk. They also drew deeply from African philosophy, African spirituality, and the idea that healing for Black people had to include a reconnection with their cultural identity and ancestral memory. Out of ABSI came the foundations of what we now call African-centered psychology, a school of thought that emphasizes self-knowledge, collective consciousness, and liberation from white supremacy as essential parts of mental health. Scholars like Dr. Naeem Akbar, Dr. Linda James Myers, Dr. Wade Nobles, and Dr. Kobe Cambone expanded this work, developing frameworks that centered African worldviews in understanding personality, behavior, and mental wellness. Their message was clear: healing the Black mind requires reconnecting with the African self. More than 50 years later, the Association of Black Psychologists continues its mission. Its members still fight for mental health equity, challenge systematic racism in the psychological sciences, and advocate for culturally grounded therapy in Black communities. ABSI has chapters across the country, student organizations on campuses, and an ongoing commitment to the principle that psychology must serve liberation, not oppression. Their current motto says it best: healing the heart, mind, spirit, and community of Black people. The story of the Association of Black Psychologists is the story of Black people reclaiming their humanity, of scholars and healers refusing to let others define their minds. They reminded us that psychology at its core is not just about the brain, it's about the soul. And when the soul of a people has been wounded by centuries of racism and erasure, healing must begin with truth, with history, and with the courage to see ourselves through our own eyes. So the next time someone asks, why do we need Black psychology? Remember this: because no one can define the Black mind except the Black people who live it. To all of the founders and the members of the Association of Black Psychologists, past and present, we proudly stand on your shoulders. For more information, please visit my website at www.ontheshoulders1.com. There, yeah. So that's my my historical video for the week. You know, I always try to drop something historical from our people throughout the week. But yep. So I stopped calling myself an African American like in middle school, no, elementary school. When I found out that we used the term African American just because Jesse Jackson made it up, it's like, man, I don't give a damn about what Jesse Jackson said. I ain't calling myself no damn African American no more. I'm a Black person in America. Because said they wants to run our lives to the yep. You already know that. Dr. Wilson already put us on that. But the idea was, like, I was calling myself Black, like a Black person since elementary school. Like, people would go around, and you African American, you could say Black, because it was remember when it was like a bad thing to call Black people Black, and everybody was like African American. Oh, Ty, thank you. I appreciate you, Ty. Thank you. Look, man, I put some work into that. I was like, man, when I got the concept of that, I was like, man, I got to make this thing good, man. So I appreciate you, Ty. Thank you. Black self-esteem. Yep. Yes, it does. I appreciate you, man. That made me feel good. So I'm gonna keep dropping these historical videos, man. I'm keep dropping this information. Make sure we know who we are, where we come from, and our heroes and people. And I'm gonna start dropping these things in these videos here too, man. So thank you to you all. But that's the main thing. Like, when I started learning more about people like Jesse Jackson, and go back to the comment, I think Renee put it up earlier, about Dr. King and Jesse Jackson, because I heard about Jesse Jackson, his involvement and all that stuff there. Yep. So it is time for us to reclaim our minds. It is time for us to self-actualize as Black people. It's time for us to define ourselves for ourselves, by ourselves, and stop letting other people do that. I don't have no problem with being called a black person in America. I don't have no problem with being called the foundation of Black America. I don't have a problem with the ADOS, none of that stuff. I'm not getting into the beef between the groups and stuff. I'm a black person from America, and I'm cool with it. I'm happy about it. I'm proud of it because I'm not a black person who's sitting down and just be okay with the colonization. When I trace my lineage, it's in America, but I also understand that we are a part of the African diaspora as well. So the ultimate goal is all of us to be able to get along, but we got to get our stuff here. So black people in America, we can't even really concentrate on the diaspora because we can't say the diaspora because we can't save ourselves as of right now. So we do need to be concentrating on us here in America, getting our stuff together. That needs to be our main focus, is getting our stuff together here in America. So I'm just saying, to become you already know that. We already know we got them. That's why I say on the shoulders of giants. We're standing on the shoulders of these people. We're standing on the shoulders of these people. Let's represent ourselves and our ancestors correct. We're black people here in America, and I don't care where you from. You got to represent your ancestors correctly. But here in America, I know when I know I've been able to trace my lineage on my mom's side back to the 1850s. I know my pops can trace they stories of people going back to South Carolina, Oklahoma, and all these places. But hey, we're here now, and what we gonna do about the colonization? So that's how we go. So I appreciate you all. I love you all. It's time to go eat. Time to close this day out and get ready for the next day because we're getting it in. I appreciate all of you. Once again, me, Kim, thank you for your contributions to the channel. Chisel Chipper, I appreciate you with the $5 super chat. Cheryl SV1UV, thank you for the $20 super chat. I appreciate you. Thank you to DSB225 for becoming a member. Chisel Chipper becoming a member. I just appreciate all the love that people continue to show this channel. We're going to continue to grow. Almost at 75,000 subscribers. We're on our way to 100,000 subscribers. They're not going to slow us down. They're not going to stop us. We're going to continue to get this information out. That's how we do it. I love you all. Thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you all. And I'm going to continue doing what I do. I'm going to see y'all live on Tuesday. We're coming back live on Tuesday. It's going down. Look, Black Power, Black Power, Black Power. Wukusu. Wukusu means wake up, clean up, stand up. I got that from Carlton Jones and a group of gentlemen that he was rocking with. So I didn't make that up. That come from PC and the group of gentlemen he was waking up with. But that we're adopting it. Wukusu. Black Power, Wukusu. Wake up, clean up, stand up. I'm out. Oh, yeah. No, I got to do it right. So Renee Wood, thank you. You know I got to do it right. Renee Wood, thank you, thank you, thank you. Sion, thank you for being here. T-Wo, thank you for being here. Ricardo Float, thank you for being here. The Protagonist, thank you for being here. Uptight 24, thank you for being here. Christine Williams, thank you for being here. Ty, thank you for being here. Cheryl, thank you for being here. Dion, thank you for being here. Chisel Chipper, thank you for being here. Who else? I got to give everybody they love. This one of my favorite parts. The Jedi Skywalker. I don't know the scamming, but I appreciate the comments. Just we can't be scamming now. Keith Harrison, thank you for being here. Thank you for your comments. Who else? AI Smart Cities, thank you for your comments. Thank you for being here. I almost forgot to do this. The Real Nemesis X, my brother, thank you, thank you, thank you. AFG1Y, thank you for being here. Who else was up in here today rocking with us on this good Saturday? Bruce Grit, thank you for being here. Thank you for the comment. Enrique, thank you for being here. Thank you for the comment. Who else? O'Neal Dennis, my man O'Neal Dennis, thank you. Melissa, thank you. I know the PhD was up in here too. Who else? True Pilgrim, thank you. I appreciate you and your comments. Tell you real PhD who was up in here. We going live next Saturday. Amina Muhammad, thank you, Amina, for being in the building as always. The Brother Garfield podcast, thank you. Mel I9244, thank you. If I said it wrong, I apologize. FM, my man FM, thank you. Who else? I said Dion. If I didn't say Dion, thank you. Aaron Atto, thank you for being up in here. Who else? KODOM52, thank you. Melissa is chasing a natty home. Huh? Melissa is chasing a nat. I don't know what that means. But once again, I love you all, and I catch y'all next Saturday. Peace out. I want to make sure I give y'all love. Peace out.